gosh. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of my 12 Days of Christmas. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to include this in the series, but I do think this is an important message, and I think that this will help a lot of you, even if you haven't gone through this exact same thing. I'm hoping this message will uplift you in some way. So today is December 12th, and today my son Milo would be turning 6. So a little history, because I know there's a lot of you who don't probably even know about this, unless you've gone back on my videos. But when our son was 5 months old, he passed away in his sleep. It's diagnosed as SIDS. There was no cause at all. He was perfectly fine when he went down that night. And when my husband checked on him, he wasn't breathing. And so he called 911. I was actually out at the store grocery shopping when this all went down. And I came home to him being rushed in an ambulance and cops there and crime scene investigation. Like, it was the biggest nightmare I have ever gone through. But this was almost 6 years ago, because he was 5 months when this happened. So it's been 5.5 years ago that this happened. And I do believe it's very important when you go through things in life. I don't care what it is. We all go through struggles and trials. But what I want you guys to get out of this message today is for you guys to realize that you all have a message to share. All of us have gone through different trials in our life, and I think it's important for all of us to know what kind of message we can share with other people. Through this video, I will be talking about faith and Christ and things that I personally believe in, and I know that that's not going to be for everybody. I know that not everybody watching this has the same beliefs as me. Every single human being on the planet has gone through different experiences that has molded them into the person that they are and their belief system. So we all have different beliefs. I just want us all to be able to respect each other. But today I will be talking about those things. So I'm just letting you guys know that my faith is going to be something that I talk about a lot today. I went to Instagram and I asked you guys what you want me to talk about. So I got a ton of different questions. I won't be able to cover every single one of them, but I want to cover as many as I can. So I'm going to be reading these questions and giving you my personal answers. And then I want to end this with a message to you guys. So my first question is, how do we typically spend the day, like on his birthday or anniversary? If you've been following me for a while, you guys probably know that we like to spend the entire day doing random acts of kindness. We started this on his first birthday. So this was, 6 months after he had passed away. That was definitely the hardest birthday of his. I think with death, any of those first milestones are the worst days. So another question was, do your boys remember him? And they were barely 2 when he passed away, but they seem like they do remember him. And it might be because we have kept him so alive in our home. Like, we talk about him all the time. They also have a very weird memory. Whenever we talk about Milo, their thought goes to this specific day, and this was after he had died. My brother and his wife were getting married, and this was like 3 weeks after he had passed away. And we were at the temple where they were getting married, and they kept talking about seeing him there. And they told that this is their memory still to this day as 7-year-olds. When they think of Milo, they associate him with being inside of a temple, because that's where they said they saw him. They said he was standing next to Grandma Debbie, which is my husband's mom. And when they explained what he looked like, they said he was very bright and sparkly are actually the terms that they used, which as a 2-year-old trying to explain what somebody looks like, I just thought that was amazing. But every time we drive past a temple, we have tons of them here in Utah. They say that's where Milo is. They still talk about that today. And they always ask to go inside so they can see him. So I just think that's really cool. But they do remember him. And I think they remember him mostly through pictures and that kind of thing, and watching videos of him. But I would say their most fondest memory is that experience that they had. Anyway, I don't want to keep this too crazy long. I could talk for probably 30 minutes about this one experience, which I think has really helped me, because I'm like, there's no way 2-year-olds are making this up. You can just tell that this was like such a special thing for them. Anyway, I need to get to more questions. Someone asked, how did you know you were ready for another baby? So we tried to have a child pretty soon after. we did not get pregnant for 2 years. So we did get pregnant finally and then miscarried that one. And I was only pregnant. It was like a very early pregnancy, but it still was like, but that was very devastating to us equally. Losing that pregnancy was very devastating. You know, after trying for so long and then going through that, and then having a miscarriage, that was really devastating. But we did get pregnant again immediately. I think like the next month we got pregnant again with Ezra. So we are so grateful for him. And I think he has healed us so much. It was truly the most amazing thing ever to have another child after going through this. I know everything is in God's time, and I think that we needed that time to heal. It probably wouldn't have been best for us personally to have a baby right away, but we were trying to have a baby right away. So I think that was God's plan, and his plan is perfect, and that's what I believe. So how did you deal with packing up your baby's belongings, and how long after did you start doing that? Whew, we did not pack up his things ever. Not until we were forced to move, because we were renting a house at the time when this happened. And his little crib was in our room with us. We did not even go upstairs the rest of the time we rented this house. We just lived in the basement. It was a 3-story house, and we lived in the basement the rest of the time. We threw a mattress on the ground. The only time we'd go upstairs is to get clothes or things we needed. So we moved 4 months after this happened, and that's when we moved all his stuff. I don't know if he had his own room, like if we were in our home and he had his own room, I don't know how long it would have taken me to move all of that. I might have never. Maybe, when we had our next child, I would have just brought him in here and incorporated his things into this room. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know. I feel like doing that, like putting their things away, is so hard, because it's like finalizing or admitting that this person is not here or won't be coming home. Okay. Someone said, would I recommend the owlet? Yes, I definitely would. That's not something I would say, no, don't get the owlet. I will also say, when we had Ezra, I thought, okay, it's been 3 years. Like, I feel strong. I feel good and ready, like I'm not going to be paranoid. I was a hot mess his whole first year. So again, if I'm being honest, I did not sleep his whole entire first year of life. Neither me or Thomas. Both of us were awake probably every other hour, just checking on him. Probably every single night, sometimes twice a night, I would frantically shake him, thinking, assuming the worst, like that he wasn't breathing, and he'd freak out, every single time. This is a really good question too. What is the best way to offer love and support to someone who's experienced this? So I would say immediately after this happened, we personally liked company being over. Just having people in the house made me feel good. And I can't really explain why, and maybe this isn't for everybody, but at least offer to come and just be there with that person. I think that just offering, because I usually am like, no, I'm good. But for this, I was like, please come over. I asked anyone who offered, I said, yes, come over. And I just wanted people around us like all the time. That's what I would suggest. But my biggest suggestion would be after the funeral, once that's all done, it kind of goes quiet. And that to me was almost harder, because right when it happens, you're in shock. You have thousands of people around you loving you and supporting you. And then literally that day when he's buried, it's like everyone goes away. Everyone has to live on with their life, right? They just kind of move on, and you don't. The person going through this is still going through this. And so they still don't know how to navigate through what they're going through and how to go through this new way of living. I would say to check up on those people a week after, 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after. Just keep checking in on them, offering to stop by, see how they're doing. If you live in a community where there's lots of you supporting this person or this family, I would take turns, like, hey, take them dinner, or just be thinking of them longer than those like first 7 days. And again, I never expected people to just like live in my house and never leave and just like hold me forever. But it was just strange to see that or go through that experience and be like, wow, everyone just goes on with their life. Like, what am I supposed to do now? How do I go on with my life when this is still so painful to go through? This question is, how have you guys dealt with Thomas losing so many siblings on top of Milo? So for those who don't know, my husband, Thomas, he has lost, when he was 12, his oldest brother died in a car accident. He was 24. Soon, right after that, his nephew passed away, who was an infant, and he passed of SIDS as well. And so, okay, Bobby was his brother that passed away, and then Timmy was his nephew that passed away. And then 7 days later, Timmy's dad passed away. And so this all happened within like I want to say like 6-month period of each other. So he went through this, and then we have Milo. So this is obviously years later. Milo passed away in May, and then in December, his oldest sister passed away. And then in July, his brother passed away, his brother 7. So 7, Danielle, Bobby, Tim, Timmy, and Milo. All immediate family. And they were all just horrible, horrible accidents. And then 2 babies that have passed from SIDS. His sister, Danielle, that died, her husband is Timmy, who also has passed, and their son. So like their whole family has passed away. And they had 3 kids left behind here with no parents. His whole family has just been through so much. Honestly, I don't know how somebody can go through that and be okay unless they have the strongest faith in God, in his plan, in his timing. Obviously, this earth life is temporary. Nobody will be here forever. I mean, think just generations ago, everyone that lived here 200 years ago is not here anymore. And this is something all of us are going to eventually have to face, is the death of somebody, right? All of us will go through it at some point. We will lose somebody, and it is the most painful thing to go through, because if you think about it, the scariest thing in the world is death. Whether you're thinking of it yourself, like you dying, or a family member or a friend, or losing somebody, that is the hardest, worst fear. And I think it's just because it feels so final. You know, that death is like, I will never see you again. And for a lot of people, they believe that that's it, that I will never see or be with that person ever again. And even having faith that you will is still so difficult because it's so far away. It seems like, well, when? You know, when I'm 95, I'm going to see them again. So what I kind of want to talk about now is just my faith and how I have been able to be okay through this situation, and how I've gotten stronger, and kind of just how this one event in my life has completely changed who I am as a person, how I view life, how I view other people, how I view the afterlife. All of that for me has come from having Milo and his passing, and just the short amount of time he lived here. You know, what an impact he's left on not just me, but everyone that's ever heard his story or has heard our story. So with that being said, I just want to talk about faith. That's what I want to talk about really for the rest of this video. So faith, I know a lot of people, this is hard because not everybody has faith in the spiritual world, right? Or God or Christ. So I want to talk to people that are kind of starting from scratch. They don't really know what they think or what they believe. They've never really prayed. So speaking to people that don't really even know where to start, that's kind of what I want to talk about. So faith is action. You have to take action on your part for you to start experiencing things spiritually. One way to take action, obviously, is through praying with a sincere heart. If you're kneeling down and praying for the first time maybe and expecting, I know this isn't going to work, I'm not going to feel anything, that's not a sincere heart. Praying sincerely would mean hoping that you are going to feel something or learn something or hear something while you are praying. So when this first happened to me, the doctors came in and told us there was nothing they could do. I was in complete denial that we would be leaving that hospital without him. I thought for sure he was going to be 100% okay. And then when they came in and said that, when I was so heartbroken. Like, there are not even words to describe the physical pain I felt in my chest when they said that. And when they asked, do you want to come see him or do you want to come say goodbye? So anyway, we walk in the room. I remember seeing the looks on all of the nurses and the doctors' faces, and they were all just crying as they walked out. Thomas reached around and picked him up off the table and was holding him. I remember thinking, how in the world am I going to survive this? There is like no way that I can live through this. There's just no possible way that I can. And right as I'm thinking this, I hear the words, get on your knees. And I don't know if I heard them out loud. I can't recall if I physically heard those words or if they were in my head. That moment when I felt so hopeless and then heard those words, just get on your knees. And then once I did, and I felt just the room was filled with spirits, and I know that. But as I've thought about that experience, it's been really interesting to me to think I felt just this empty hole, this horrible ache in my soul, in my heart. And then all of a sudden, just by hearing those words, following through with that prompting, right, get on your knees, and the second I did, the room was completely filled with spirits. And that is a personal experience that I've really never shared, and I can never deny that I felt that, because once that happened, it felt like I was given an equal amount of strength as this trial was, if that makes sense. My whole soul felt like it was on fire. Like, you know, I have read so many scriptures prior to this about whatever kind of trial you're going through, God will give you equal amount of strength to get through that. And I'd heard those, but never did it really mean something to me until that experience. Going through that and feeling just filled with strength, that is the only way I can tell you we got through this okay, that we have come out the other side of this happy, that we can still live our lives, that I can wake up in the morning and function and take care of my other kids and go on with my life and keep living, is through relying on His strength. There is no way, you guys, if this wasn't real, if God wasn't real, if we weren't spirits of His, I would have even left the hospital that night. So many times that week after, up until his funeral, I remember having these moments and just asking my husband, like, how are we okay right now? We would break down multiple times a day, but we were still functioning. And I really did not understand. I couldn't understand. But so many times, and I know that when you're going through something like traumatizing, that you are sent so many people around you, and God will do that no matter what, even if you're not asking for it, even if you don't believe in it, He still sends those people. But I think by me taking that action step and getting on my knees, it allowed me to feel it, to actually physically feel what was happening spiritually around me. I physically felt it. And so again, I believe all the time we have angels around us, ancestors, all these different spirits, and they can be good or bad, depending on our choices and the things that we're doing every day. But when you're going through those difficult times, I know God sends so many to surround you. I don't know how this video is going to turn out. I have been filming for over an hour and I feel like I'm all over the place. But I hope that you felt something while I shared this message of faith and just taking that first step. And this is something that my whole world revolves around, and it's not something I ever talk about again on this channel, but I would love to. And if you guys are interested in maybe, you know, once a week or a few times a month, me just popping on and sharing like a quick uplifting message, I would love to do that and just incorporate those into these other videos that I do. I personally think that the most important thing we can do in this life is learn about things of the Spirit, because that's what we are. We are spirit beings. We are children of God, and we are all going through this crazy life, learning these crazy lessons and enduring really hard things. And it is my belief that we are supposed to help guide each other back to our Savior. And if anything, I hope that you felt just something tugging at your heart, that maybe something I said today got you to think or inspired you to maybe, you know, get down on your knees and have that one-on-one experience with Heavenly Father. What I have learned in my life, because there's been so many times that I have not felt spiritual, that I have not cared about things spiritually, and then on the other side, I have felt very spiritual. It is always me. It's my choices. It's what I'm surrounding myself with. It's what I'm putting first in my life. But I have found when I center my whole life around things of the Spirit of Christ, my whole life seems to just go in order. And obviously I'm still going to have trials, but my life just seems to flow a lot better. And even though I'm going through things every day, right? We're all facing different trials every day of our life, but it just seems to be more peaceful and not so chaotic and not so like, how am I going to get through this or this or this? So I'm hoping you guys can take something away from this video, and I'm so grateful for any of you who have stayed watching this whole thing. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.